So we've got an amazing amount of new developments to share with you that I think are incredibly exciting, as well as tell you about the future of what we're planning to do here. The overarching goal of Neuralink is to create ultimately a whole brain interface, a generalized input-output device that in the long term literally could interface with every aspect of your brain, and in the short term can interface with any given section of your brain and solve a tremendous number of things that cause debilitating issues for people. So
you are watching Elon Dot Musk, and if you like what you're about to see, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, or leave something in the comments. Now let's get back to our topic.
We are all already cyborgs in a way, in that your phone and your computer are extensions of yourself. And I'm sure you found, like, if you leave your phone behind, you end up tapping your pockets and it's like having missing limb syndrome. Leaving your phone behind is kind of like a missing limb at this point. You're so used to interfacing with it. You're so used to being a de facto cyborg. So what's the limitation on a phone or a laptop? The limitation is the rate at which you can receive and send information, especially the speed with which you can send information. So if you're interacting with a phone, it's limited by the speed at which you can move your thumbs, or the speed at which you can talk into your phone. This is an extremely low data rate. Maybe it's like 10, optimistically 100 bits per second, but a computer can communicate at gigabits, terabits per second. So Justin Roiland in the audience says, hi Justin. So it's a little Rick and Morty reference here. Great Rick and Morty episode about intelligence enhancement of your dog, and what's the worst that could happen? This video is now 18 months old. So this is Pager, who is playing monkey mind pong. So Pager has a Neuralink implant in this video, and the thing that's interesting is that you can't even see the neural implant. We've miniaturized the neural implant to the point where it matches the thickness of the skull that is removed. So it's essentially it's sort of like having an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, replacing a piece of skull with like a smartwatch. Pager first learned to play Pong with a joystick, so I'm like, that was novel. It's like I didn't know monkeys could play Pong, but they can. And we took the joystick away and have the Neuralink telepathic video games, essentially. So what we've been doing since then is we've been on the very difficult journey from prototype to product. We've been working hard to be ready for our first human, and obviously we want to be extremely careful and certain that it will work well before putting a device in a human. But we've submitted, I think, most of our paperwork to the FDA, and we're probably in about 6 months we should be able to have our first Neuralink in a human. So we do everything we possibly can to test the devices before, not even going into a human, before even going into an animal. So we do benchtop testing, we do accelerated life testing. We have a fake brain simulator that has the texture, and it's like emulating a brain, but it's sort of rubber. We do everything we possibly can with rigorous benchtop testing. So we're not cavalier in putting devices into animals. Since the Pager demo, we've expanded to work with a troop of 6 monkeys. We've actually upgraded Pager. They do varied tasks, and we do everything possible to ensure that things are stable and replicable, and that the device lasts for a long time without degradation. What you're seeing there it looks like the Matrix, but that's actually that's a real output of neural signals. That's not a simulation or just a screensaver or something. Those are actual neurons firing. Sake, it's one of our other monkeys, typing on a keyboard. What's really cool here is Sake, the monkey, is moving the mouse cursor using just his mind. It's also important to show that Sake actually likes doing the demo and is not like strapped to the chair or anything. So the monkeys actually enjoy doing the demos because they get the banana smoothie, and it's kind of a fun game. The first 2 applications we're going to aim for in humans are restoring vision. This is like notable in that even if someone has never had vision ever, like they were born blind, we believe we can still restore vision. The other application being in the motor cortex, where we would initially enable someone who has almost no ability to operate their their muscles, sort of like a sort of Stephen Hawking type situation, and enable them to operate their phone faster than someone who has working hands. I mean, as miraculous as it may sound, we're confident that it is possible to restore full body functionality to someone who has a severed spinal cord. I want to emphasize again that the primary purpose of this update is recruiting. If there's one message I want to convey, it is that if you have expertise in creating advanced devices like watches and phones, computers, then your capabilities would be of great use in solving these important problems.
If someone ultimately does get a Neuralink installed, what will take place?
Well, for version 1 of the device, it would be basically implanted in your skull. So, but it would be flush with your skull. So you basically take out a chunk of skull, put the Neuralink device in there. You put the electrode. You'd insert the electrode threads very carefully into the brain, and then you stitch it up, and you wouldn't even know that somebody has it. And so then it can interface basically anywhere in your brain. So it could be something that helps cure, say, eyesight, like returns your eyesight, even if you've like lost your optic nerve type of thing.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Hearing, obviously, pretty much anything that it could, in principle, fix almost anything that is wrong with the brain, and it could restore limb functionality. So if you've got interface into the motor cortex and then an implant that's that's like a microcontroller in your muscle groups, you could then create a sort of a neural shunt that restores somebody who's a quadriplegic to full functionality, maybe slightly better.
Slightly better?
Over time, yes.
You mean with future iterations? Yeah. The hole would be small. How big would the hole be that you have to drill and then replace with this piece?
It's about 1 inch in diameter. And your skull's pretty thick, by the way. So skulls are...
Mine is, for sure.
It might actually literally be. I mean, if you're a big guy, your skull is actually fairly thick. Skull's like 7 to 14 millimeters. It's a generalized thing for fixing any kind of brain injury. In principle, like if you've got like severe epilepsy or something like that, it could just sort of stop the epilepsy from occurring. Like it could detect it in real time and then fire a counter pulse and stop the epilepsy. I mean, there's a whole range of brain injuries. Like somebody gets a stroke, they could lose the ability to speak. And then when you get old, you tend to, if you get like Alzheimer's or something like that, then you lose memory, and this could help you with restoring your memory, that kind of thing.
Restoring memory. And what is happening that's allowing it to do that? Like the wires, these small wires, are stimulating these areas of the brain, and then is it that the areas of the brain are they're losing some sort of electrical force? Like what is happening? Yeah.
So it's like think of it as like a bunch of circuits, and there's some like circuits that are broken, and we can like fix those circuits. It's a substitute for those circuits.
And so a specific frequency will go through this?
Yeah, just
specific. In that, is the process figuring out how much or how little has to be, how much these areas of the brain have to be juiced up?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. So when I say, we've got a shot at probably putting it in a person in within a year, I think that's exactly what I mean. I think we have a chance of putting in someone and having them be healthy and restoring some functionality that they've lost.
Once you enjoy the Dr. Manhattan lifestyle, once you become a god, it seems very, very unlikely you're going to want to go back to being stupid again. I mean, you literally could fundamentally change the way human beings interface with each other.
Yes.
Yes.
You wouldn't need to talk.
When you said you won't have to talk to each other anymore, we used to joke around about that. I've joked around about that a million times on this podcast, that one day in the future there's going to come a time where you can read each other's minds. Yeah.
Well,
you'll be able to interface with each other in some sort of a non-verbal, non-physical way, where you will transfer data back and forth to each other without having to actually use your mouth.
yeah, exactly. So when you, like, what happens when like, let's say you've got some complex idea that you're trying to convey to somebody else, and how do you do that? Well, your brain spends a lot of effort compressing a complex concept into words, and there's a lot of loss, information loss that occurs when compressing a complex concept into words. And then you say those words are then interpreted, then they're decompressed by the person who is listening, and they will at best get a very incomplete understanding of what you're trying to convey. It's very difficult to convey a complex concept with precision, because you've got compression, decompression. You may not even have heard all the words correctly, and so communication is difficult. What we have here is a failure to communicate.
There's an interpretation factor too. Like, you can choose to interpret certain series of words in different ways, and they're dependent upon tone, dependent upon social cues, even facial expressions, sarcasm. There's a lot of variables.
Sarcasm is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I've said is like that there could be potentially a universal language that's created through computers that particularly young kids would pick up very quickly. Like, my kids do TikTok and all this jazz, and I don't know what they're doing. They just know how to do it, and they know how to do it really quickly. Like, they learn really quickly, and they show me how to edit things. And it's, if you taught a child from first grade on how to use some new universal language, I mean, essentially like a Rosetta Stone, and something that's done that interprets your thoughts, and you can convey your thoughts with no room for interpretation, with very clear, where you know what a person's saying, and you can tell them what you're saying, and there's no need for noises, no need for mouth noises, no need for these sort of accepted ways that we've sort of evolved to make sounds that we all agree. We, through our cultural dictionary, and we agree, or certain, we could bypass all that.
Yeah, I mean, you can still do it for
fun,
sentimental reasons,
right? Like campfires.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need campfires. You don't need to roast marshmallows, but it's kind of fun.
Right.
But you could probably, in a situation like this, that you would be able to just, it would be like, kind of like the Matrix. You want to speak a different language, no problem.
Right.
Just wire it, or just download the program.
I know that Google has some of their Pixel buds have the ability to interpret languages in real time. Like,
sure.
Yeah, you can hear it, and it'll play things back to you in whatever language you choose. So to be something along those lines.
Well, the first few iterations are, I mean, what I'm talking about is like in the limit over time, with a lot of development. The first few iterations, really in the first few versions, all we're going to be trying to do is solve brain injuries. So it's like, don't worry that it's not going to sneak up on you. This will take a while.
How many years?
If the development continues to accelerate, then maybe like 5 years, 5 to 10 years.
That's quick. That's really quick.
That's the best case scenario.
No talking anymore in 5 years.
Best case scenario. You could also save state. And
save state?
Save state, like save your brain state, like a saved game in a video game.
Whoa. like if you want to swap from Windows 95 to
hopefully a little better than that, but yeah.
I think we are Windows 95 right now.
Yeah. From a future perspective, probably. But yeah, I mean, you could save state and restore that state into a biological being if you wanted to in the future. In principle, there's like nothing, like from a physics standpoint, that prevents this. Now, you'd be a little different, but then you're also a little different when you wake up in the morning from yesterday, and you're a little different. In fact, if you say like you 5 years ago versus you today, is quite a big difference.
Yes.
So you'd be substantially you. I mean, you'd certainly think you're you.
But the idea of saving yourself and then transforming that into some sort of a biological state, like you could hang out with 30-year-old you.
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
That's so weird.
I mean, just think like how your phone you can record videos on your phone. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way you could remember a video as accurately as your phone or a camera, could. Now, if you've got like some version 10, Neuralink, whatever, far in the future, you could recall everything, just like it's a movie,
Crystal clear.
including the entire sensory experience,
Emotions, everything.
everything.
Feel free to let us know what you think about this video. And if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.